Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello and welcome home. This episode of Welcome Home is brought to you by DVC Resale Market. Thank you for joining us on episode 358 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I'm Tom, I'm here with Trevor. How's it going, Trevor?
Hey, pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's been busy, huh? I mean, I was talking to people about this, how like and I've talked about it on the show, like how I'm just so not prepared at all for my vacation. And it's like really creeping up on me very quickly here. And I've just been so busy that I haven't even thought about it, and I really need to get on it. But
I mean, crazy enough, people, our listeners have talked about this, is, you can just show up and like see where the wind takes you.
Yeah, it'll be all right.
Like,
I'm not worried about
it. I know that sounds crazy to me, but I know that is a feasible way of doing it. And yeah, I think as long as like, you get to the hotel, I think that's like,
that's the most important part. And then after that, it'll just take us where the wind blows us.
Once you're there, whatever. Like,
it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I was earlier though, so here's the thing, right? Like the planning stuff just takes up too much brain power sometimes, right? So like I can watch like, things on Disney Plus or, whatever else to just relax. And have you watched any of these behind the attraction episodes on Disney Plus?
Yeah, I've watched what I think it was the Haunted Mansion one. I think
I watched all of them. I think I watched all of them. I mean, because there's not that many of them. They're fairly easy watches.
Yeah, I'll admit I haven't watched them because I tend to default to like shows that we have shows we watch on repeat, and
I get that.
And so like we tend to go there first instead of watching something new. So unless I like make a conscious effort to sit down and watch these, I'm usually not watching them. But except like, I think, I know I did watch the one for sure, and they're great. Like they're
well done.
It's they've I think I've said this before, is they remind me of like, when Walt Disney was doing like all the preview stuff, and kind of like selling it basically, right? I think these are like, it's the same kind of thing, but it gives you the extra like, nitty gritty stuff about what goes into building some of these things. But I know where you're going with this, is that they have a season 3 of Behind the Attraction coming.
Not coming. It's out now. It's out. I watched it earlier today.
Oh, you already watched it? Okay.
I watched the first 2 episodes. Okay. So I watched the first 2 episodes, which are about. So interestingly enough, I was going
to say that the topic of this season is interesting to me because I didn't consider this an attraction, but it is. I guess they are, absolutely. So
it's only 2. I don't know if the whole season's only 2 episodes, because it says the 2 episode special, which makes me think that it's just these 2 episodes and nothing more. But I don't know. I could be wrong. But it's about Disney Cruise Line, the creation of Disney Cruise Line, and all the stuff they do to build these ships, and which is crazy. And I mean, I like these a little bit differently than I liked like Imagineering Story. Imagineering Story was much more like serious and deep, and this is more kind of silly and fun, kind of like it's the narration's funny, and like they have fun with it. But which is, and not that they don't in the Imagineering Story, but the Imagineering Story is just different. It's kind of more of a serious documentary about like the history of things. But this is really interesting because this they go into Disney Cruise Line, and I didn't really see too much on there that I hadn't seen previously, to be totally honest, because I do watch a lot of this stuff. The one thing that got me though, which I thought was, and this is such a weird observation that I gathered from this, but they, one of the complaints, Trevor, that Disney Cruise Line gets a lot is that it's expensive, right?
I mean,
it is, right?
But I get that, but like cruises are expensive, so I don't know.
Well, they are more expensive than other cruises though, right?
Fair.
Like a fair amount more.
Yeah.
And one of the things they pointed out in Behind the Attraction, which I never thought of before, is a lot of the reasons why they are, one of the big reasons, I should say, why they are more expensive than the other cruise lines, and gosh, this makes so much sense. I don't know why I didn't think about it before, is that the other cruise lines essentially subsidize their fares by the fact that they make profits from gambling in the casinos. And Disney Cruise Line does not have gambling.
Yeah, that is a very good point.
Yeah. So the other cruise lines make a lot of money off of gambling, so they can offer lower fares. I mean, also Disney is also luxury too, and so they offer, a little bit of a step up. So there's that too. But one of the things they mentioned was because Disney does not do gambling, which is like a profit center, and this was Eisner talking about it. He was like, yeah, we said we're not going to do gambling. And he goes, basically, everyone told us, well, that's where all the money is in gambling. Like, so how are you going to make a profit on this? Like, and I mean, so then it makes sense why they have higher fares than everybody else, because, I just hadn't thought about it before. It was just interesting.
Yeah. And because, the people arguing that, how are you going to profit on this? I mean, clearly it works because, the fleet is expanding. They're constantly, offering more and more and more cruise stuff because people obviously like it. They've hit a sweet spot for offering something that it is very family centric, and I think maybe that's the draw of it versus other cruise lines, is that like the ones that have gambling and whatnot. I know that I notice there are other cruise lines out there that are offering like similar type boats to Disney or ships. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you can say boats. It's fine.
But they're doing like they have like the water coasters on board, and they're offering like the extended entertainment, which to me, funny enough, reminds me of back in the 90s when Vegas was doing the same kind of thing where they were offering, like, there was some hotels, and I mean they still kind of do, but it's not.
They try to make it seem like it's a family friendly destination.
We went to Vegas. We did family vacations to Vegas, and it was they were definitely offering something there as like, hey, this is MGM had a lot of cool family stuff. Excalibur was great. Circus was great, right? And it's like so it seemed like they were doing that for a while until the reservoir dried up, so to speak, of like families coming, right? And then they kind of went back to what they were doing. So bring this back to Disney cruises, is it's like I feel like it's kind of going the same way, that it's like all these other cruise lines are offering their own version of it, but eventually people will come back to the idea. It's like, well, that's nice, but the Disney cruise is better. Right. Like that's kind of, because I think that's kind of what happened with the whole Vegas thing. It was just like, yeah, the Vegas stuff is nice, but it's like, if I really want to go to a theme park, though, I'll go to a theme park. I'm not going to go to Vegas for a theme park. Right. So,
yeah, exactly.
So I feel like, Disney has hit a niche for sure, where it's like, people want a particular type of cruising. And yeah, to your point, that, it's the constant, balking of, but prices and all that. It's like, but cruises are expensive. The reason that you're getting cheap cruises elsewhere is, look at the entire picture of what they're offering, which is, gambling. Like you said, it's a great way for, people to make money, but, Disney is choosing to not do that. So
yeah, and they make their money other ways. And I mean, obviously, but there is a lot of interesting things in there. Like, if you're curious of how they figure these things out, and they are, very quick to talk about all of the things in the cruise industry that they revolutionized and did before anybody else, including, you were talking about the water coaster. They were saying that they were the first to do that, and that when they asked for it at first, they were told that they couldn't do that because it would mess up like like how the ship is stabilized. There's some interesting stuff in there if you're interested in like how they build stuff. But like, I've watched a couple things on Disney Cruise Line before, and I don't really feel like it brought out too many different things that I didn't know about. So, but it's still good. They're well produced and they're entertaining, and they're really, cool to look at, and they've got interesting things in there. So, but I just wanted to bring that up because, we haven't been talking a lot of Disney cruise lately, and, I just thought it was interesting.
I think, like, to your point, it's a good thing to, it helps these kinds of shows, even though I guess kind of like you, is like I've consumed a lot of like information outside of these shows. So it's like, watching them is like, oh yeah, I knew that. Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like it's like, and not to be like, like
I know
like,
everything.
I'm not like trying to like top hat and monocle. It's just more like, oh, I learned that somewhere along the way, and they're just reinforcing it. But for anybody who's not deep diving this stuff, these shows are actually a great way to get a good understanding of context. And obviously it's Disney putting their spin on it, like you said. They'll make sure that they highlight all the stuff that they've done and revolutionized and everything. But it also is, it's a good just extended look into things that you already enjoy. So nothing wrong with that.
So so I go check that out on Disney Plus. I saw a couple people talking about it, and like I said, it was good. This next one is a little bit interesting, Trevor.
I like that we are like not starting with anything Disney parks related here, and this next piece is
we are at the next topic after this one.
It is, we'll get there, but this one, okay,
hold on. I would argue this is semi-parks related.
It is, but also this is a hot topic, and I think we should preface this by saying, if you have any feelings about AI, because there's a lot of people that have very strong feelings about AI. You're welcome to them. We're talking about this entirely from just what Disney is offering, not about the larger like ecosphere of AI. Like that's a bigger conversation. Trust me, I work in IT. I am very aware of it. I have a lot of mixed feelings about AI, but this is just, Disney is offering an AI option. Again, it's an option. They're not forcing it. So,
and this is also just for, as of right now, the Disney Store. So they're testing out a Disney Store AI personal shopping assistant, because that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words. That's long. They need to like come up with a fun name for
AI PSA.
Which listen, okay, whatever. But that's not the official acronym. I know. But the idea here is to help, and so they give some examples here, right? So like they have like a what's new thing, frozen gift ideas for a 4-year-old, outfits for a day in Magic Kingdom. Really, this in this particular version of a context of AI, this is really just a souped up search.
It is,
that's all it is. Yeah.
So
right? I mean,
so I will say this is my general feelings about AI is when something or when I go to a site and like it's immediately like like the help section is like an AI chatbot or something.
Yeah.
I am immediately turned off by that because it's like I don't want to talk to a machine. I want to talk to people if I need help. But this is different in that, like you said, it's a personal shopper assistant. The thing I will say about this is that the way that they've done this is it's targeting specifically just the Disney Store stuff. It's not. It's like obviously because of that, Disney is tuning it to they can use this as a means of like pushing certain things forward. Keeping that in mind is AI. They can train the model to do whatever they want. But the other interesting thing that I actually like about this is that the AI is kind of a funny double-edged sword in that if you know how to talk to it correctly. So it's like the examples you brought up is like, hey, saying like, I'm looking for stuff for a 4-year-old that likes Frozen. Like you can potentially like searching through the Disney Store is cumbersome. And
it's because there's just an insane amount of items.
Yeah. And I've spent like hours like flipping through stuff going like, oh, I wish like, looking for stuff for my wife. Cause I do buy stuff from the Disney Store from time to time. And it's like, trying to find like obscure things can be hard. Right.
Yeah.
So having access to a tool like this where it's like, I can like be very specific about like, hey, I want to know what Gravity Falls merch you have. Like knowing full well that it's like, there won't be a lot or, whatever, but it's like without having to like dig deep down through like searches and, or going through like the sections and, trying to find stuff, right? Like I don't think it's a bad thing that they're offering this, and they're trying to do something with it, right? And again, it's keep in mind that this is a very specific use case of it. It's not like the other people like to conflate that like every AI agent is like an extension of like Google AI or ChatGPT or something. Like this is very clearly a specific model targeted very, very specifically at the Disney store, which I don't think is a bad thing, right?
Yeah,
but,
I actually, I this one example here is I actually like because it says, "Hi, I'm looking for a gift for my sister Sophia. She's 19, loves Mickey Mouse. My budget's $100," and it gives them all the answer, all the like Mickey Mouse gifts for someone in that age range for under $100. Like that's a great use case for that, right? Like that's because otherwise you're just kind of trying to figure it out, right? So it's making recommendations. So that's good. I'm fine with that. I mean, I think there are certain use cases in which AI can be helpful. I was telling you yesterday, Trevor, about how I bought a smoker and because for 4th of July and how I'm going to smoke some meats and stuff, but I have no idea what I'm doing. And so I had actually done a lot of stuff with like AI where, having it help me like make out a schedule of how to do everything, how to like, and that just saved me a lot of time, so there's like certain things like that it's good at and can be good for. And like you said, this is a fairly limited use case at this point. This is just them, and first, and I have to say, this is another thing though, that they have done that this always bothers me, and I think for the rest of the Android users out there, it bothers you as well, that Disney always deprioritizes Android devices. And listen, I understand why. Wild. I understand why, right? Like, I get it because they have a really close relationship with Apple. I get it. I mean, Apple, they almost merged at one point. Like that was in the news recently. And, there was rumored for a while. And then Iger, I guess, was talking about it. And he said there were talks. But, and there also remember, too, though, that, that the whole that Steve Jobs was essentially the owner of Pixar and was the reason, Iger and Steve Jobs talking was the reason why Pixar got bought by Disney. So
there's some history of
there's history there.
Like,
So I get why they do it. It just is really annoying because, you go to the parks and they sell phone cases and the only phone cases they ever have are for Apple devices. And it's really
Samsung Android devices, which again, there's so much more than Samsung Android devices out there.
I feel like I haven't even seen Samsung ones. I've just seen Apple always.
I have seen Samsung ones because I've gone looking specifically for phone cases and I found like, oh, here's like a Galaxy 10 phone case. And it's like, great, that doesn't help me with my Pixel. Like, it's,
but so for to that point though, this is only available in the Disney Store iOS app for the moment.
Yes, which and I'm just going to circle back on the whole, them being in bed with Apple about stuff. It's so crazy because, like, in terms of like, I get that this is Disney in North America, but like. In the larger scope of the world, Android devices are far more prevalent. It's just they just happen, or iOS happens to just be the preferred platform in North America. So I get it that it's like they're kind of tailoring to North America, but they are kind of shooting themselves in the foot because there is internet. They have a lot of international users that come, and it's like how much lost opportunity is there for you to not offer both? But and I get like there's all the history of like, well, but Steve Jobs, it's like, okay, but that was like 15 20 years ago. I'm sure you guys can get past your exclusivity contract or whatever if you really wanted to. I think it's just I'll be honest, I just don't think Disney cares at this point. But
yeah, I mean, I think at one point Steve Jobs is his widow was a big share. I mean, I think she was Disney's largest shareholder at one point. So it's I mean, I don't know. I understand it, but it is annoying.
Yeah, it is super annoying. And again, I guess back to the point of like and having an AI shopper option. Again, this is just a beta. They're testing it out. They're trying to figure it out. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 6 months you see it like if you're just going to the website on a browser and they'll have it there as an option and all that. like I said, to your point about like, you using it to learn about a slow cooker is like, AI is a tool. It's not meant to replace everything, but I think it's people are learning that, and companies like, Disney's learning that it's like, hey, there are use cases for it, but it has to be very like clearly defined use cases. And this is actually like the best example of it is like, hey, this is very specifically looking at our store, giving you the ability to, do enhanced searches through it and get recommendations and all that. Yeah, that's fine. But like I said, I understand, people have all kinds of opinions about AI, and it's like I said, I have mixed feelings about it too. It's not that I'm like always like agreeing with it, and it's mainly because of how people implement it, right? Like it's I see a lot of like just like turn it on and go kind of stuff, and it's like what I see here is Disney's not doing that. Like they're not just turning it on and saying AI for everyone, right? Like that's yeah. So I don't think it's a bad thing. Other than give us Android users some love, but that's another conversation.
It is what it is, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
do you want to get to the? Is this the elephant in the room, or is this the parrot in the room?
So maybe I've just been out of the loop this week, but when
this came out like 2 days ago.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. But when I was getting this week's show ready, I read this and I thought, oh wow, this is really cool. And I didn't realize that there were people mad about this or not happy about this. And I'm like, I don't know. It just didn't strike me as a thing that people would be mad about. I'm honestly shocked about it, to be totally honest.
so the context for anybody wondering is Pirates of the Caribbean in Disneyland has reopened with a brand new animatronic in the it's in the scene or one of the scenes. Yeah, it's the treasure room, like at towards the beginning of the ride when, before you go down the drop into like Tortuga, right? So it's like it's the room where it's all the skeletons were previously, but now there's an animatronic in there. So you have a pirate there that is like, I guess if you watch the video, like he's living and then he touches, one of the cursed doubloon, and then turns into a skeleton, right?
In front of your eyes, he turns into a skeleton.
Yeah. The problem is the video, and we talked about this on Discord before the show a little bit, was the issue I have with it is that the video that they're using to show it off does not show the effect to its best potential, I think. And really, the thing that struck me was I looked at it and I was immediately reminded of the old faces that were in Frozen Ever After. This faces.
Is different though. This is different.
I mean, it is and it isn't. The problem is that it's close enough that like I know what you're saying is like the face articulates and it moves, and it's not just like a flat projection, but it still has that obvious look of like this is being projected, I guess. But again, the problem is all I've seen is videos of it. From what I've heard of people who have accounted, going on the ride, the thing that they did wrong was they got a very close up video of what was going on. When you're actually on the ride, you're much further back, and the lighting and everything is different. Like you don't have like a camera light right in its face, so it's the projection is better hidden, I guess is the way to say it. So.
In general, anytime I've ever watched a ride video that includes projections, they don't look as good as they do in person. They just don't.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's partly because of the way that, because these types of things, projections in general, require there to be a dark room around it, right? You need some darkness around that, right? Even if it's just like even if you just watch a video of like Happily Ever After, right? Does not look as good on a video as when you're there and seeing the projections on the castle in real life, right? Like it's not even close, right? And this is the same kind of thing. And to me, like, looking at it, there's some other, I shared some other videos. There's some other videos that are better, where I think it looks like a really great effect. I think it looks awesome, but also just like, and we actually talked about the patent behind this, Trevor, I don't know when, months ago, where what they're doing here is they are real-time projection mapping onto a moving object, which is kind of crazy if you actually think about that. It is not an easy thing to accomplish, because it is how it's different than the Frozen ones, Trevor, is they're not doing the rear projection from inside the face. They're doing it from outside the face and tracking it and making it move along with the figure. So it's the tech is very different, right? And it's the way they're doing this is incredibly cool to me. I don't know. I just thought it looked. Some of the videos I saw, like the one that, like if you look at the Tech Radar article that was put out, I think these videos look great. I think it looks really, really good. I think, but like I said before, part of the problem, like you talked about, is anytime you have more light than is, you're supposed to facing these things, it washes it out, and so it looks not as real as it could. But there are videos that exist that look pretty good on this, and I think it's awesome.
Sorry, I agree with you, Tom, but I'm going to point something out because as you were explaining all that and you were explaining the the projection technology and everything that they're doing, the funny thing is that this is kind of suffering from the same problem as Dinoland, in that so the way that the detail, that the thought that went into it is there, but the final product doesn't get conveyed as well. Or the way I equate it is like I said, a lot of people are looking at the same as like Frozen Ever After, going like, oh, that's like, it's like a cheaper, they just replaced all that stuff in Frozen Ever After because it looked cheap and they replaced it with proper stuff. Why are they not doing the same thing here? Why is it, why are they going back to this, is what it feels like. And you're right. It's a misconception of what is actually going on, but it's very hard to emphasize that because, again, people don't get, how they do this stuff, or when you're dealing with projections, they don't understand front versus rear projection and all of that. Well, like you said, it's kind of the same problem as Dinoland, where it's like Dinoland was a very well thought out space, but the end result ended up making it look cheap, but it was because of the choices that they made, right? Like it's kind of like the same sort of problem.
I do look at it as the next version of that rear projection face thing they were doing, right? Like, because when you looked at that, you could clearly feel like it was a screen. I feel like, especially when you're looking at certain videos of this, that it doesn't look like a screen to me. Like there's a
when
video
it's darker, yes, absolutely, because the problem is that it's masking the skeleton transformation. There's negative space in it, and and when you can clearly see like the surface that's being mapped onto, it just looks like a projection. It just looks like a picture. But if the lighting is low enough, it does blend into the background and it looks correct. Yeah. So I get what you're saying, but like I said, I have a hard time with it because it's like they did something that, without understanding the deeper context of it, it looks like they're repeating a mistake. The other issue I have with it too is where they chose to put it in the ride. Is it's that entire front scene is like it's all the dead pirates. It's all the skeletons, right?
Yeah.
And the silence of that whole space is kind of what does the storytelling. Yeah. So having like the this guy's touching the cursed doubloon, it's doing a callback to the movies basically, right? Like it's kind of retconning for the movies. The problem is that and again, I'm not going to be like a purist of like this is like breaking the chronological storytelling of the ride or anything, but it is jarring in the fact that the entire rest of that scene is very limited motion, very silent, and then all of a sudden you have like just one animatronic, like he could be like almost disco dancing in the corner. Like it's just very like it's a little too over the top, like, and it kind of goes back to, and I know I say this all the time, but it's like, just because you can doesn't mean you should, is kind of how I feel about it. Like, I feel like they could have maybe, like, or again, to be fair, I need to actually ride the ride, and I know, we talked about this, is, we need to ride the ride to kind of see how it flows, but I feel like, it could be something that, like, leads, like, it almost feels like they should have done something like right before the drop, where like it leads into like the next scene, but because it's like kind of in the middle of it, or I'm pretty sure it's in the middle or towards the end of that scene, it doesn't feel right to me.
Okay.
And that's and I know that's a hard thing to convey. Like, I'm not hating on this. I'm not saying that it's awful and they should take it out, but it's like, I feel like sometimes it feels, they put in these things and it's to show off new technology, but sometimes it's tone deaf to the larger storytelling of the ride, which I do hold with higher priority, I guess. And I'm not saying that everybody else should. It's just, for me personally, I like understanding the flow of the story. And when they kind of throw stuff in the middle that didn't need to be there, that doesn't sit well for me.
I would argue that they see this as enhancing the storytelling and not not changing it, like, in a bad way. That's kind of how they're looking at it.
Yeah, like, and again, I guess, like, I need to see it too. Like I get that, but just looking at it from the outside and the initial impressions, is it's like, why did you need to change that? Like what was wrong with that particular part, right? Or what needed to be enhanced, I guess, is the question I have. And I feel like, again, back to the point of like Dinoland, is it's like, if you have to like explain it like after the fact, it wasn't good storytelling in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think that I don't think that they're shoehorning anything here. But I mean, I guess I understand what you're saying, but I could also see it as they're explaining, why the skeletons exist there, right? Like, you didn't know why the skeletons existed before, and now they're showing you why the skeletons was there.
I mean, you're right, and maybe that's the intent. Is it's not that all these people just miraculously died in this room in particular positions and whatnot. It was, hey, the coin is, the cursed treasure is the reason. Fair.
That's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, like, that to me is like adding to the story. Like, you didn't know why before, now you know. I mean,
I guess the thing was, for me, I didn't feel like I needed to ask why they were there. But like, and so this is going back to like as a child, right? And I don't, I'm being that person right now, and I don't like it. But as a child riding Pirates of the Caribbean, all I saw was cool skeletons, like, and that was the end of it. Like, I didn't need to know like why they were there. But I get, it is another form of expedition or exposition. Yes, I'm good with words, I swear.
Yeah.
And yeah, I get it. Like, it's just, I think the problem is the way that it was introduced to me.
Sure,
is hitting me the wrong way, and that's and it's the video that they released about it didn't do it any favors.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing for me, is it's like, if you're going to show something off, show it off the way that it's supposed to be presented. Don't put extra lights on it. Don't especially if it's like an element of a ride, like, do it in the right lighting. Don't put a camera lens on it where it's like where it's screwing up the lighting, because that to me immediately put a bad taste in my mouth.
They were doing, I think, like, that's a behind the scenes look though at it, like it was like a broader thing, and it was, but I understand what you're saying. I'm just looking, I saw it and I was like, oh, well, they're explaining why everyone there is a skeleton, like how all the skeletons got there. Like, that makes perfect sense to me. Listen, I don't like the whole thing when people go, well, if Walt was alive, he'd do X, Y, and Z, because it's, we don't know anything, right? But at the same time, I believe if this technology existed in that time, they would absolutely have this in the original Pirates of the Caribbean. I just think they would. They keep moving these things forward and keep enhancing, and listen, I think there's a certain amount of, it's always difficult whenever they're updating one of these rides that is legendary classic, and they put new things in it. A lot of people issues with that, and I understand it because like you lived with this one way the entire time, and to you it doesn't need to change, right? But yeah, I don't know. I just think to keep up in the world, they got to do stuff like this.
It's the same problem that they had with the Hatbox Ghost, and I'm fully aware of that. It's again, I'm not I'm saying all these things just I'm giving just my initial feelings on it, and I'm not again any like even you saying that it's great. I agree with you on some levels. I just I have my own like criteria
where you're coming from
of what it is. The funny thing is, it's like this versus the Hatbox Ghost. The funny thing is in Disneyland, the Hatbox Ghost is actually in a great spot, like because he's like right as you come out of the attic, and so he's like right before you go down into the graveyard. Whereas in Disney World, they put him in next to the infinity hallway with the candelabra. And I feel like in Disney World they missed on the location with him there. Like, and like a lot of people said, like it's not awful. It's not like it ruins my immersion of the ride. It's just kind of like, okay, like did he need to go there is kind of my thing. And this is my same problem that I have with this animatronic in Pirates, is it's like, did he need to go there, right? Like it's and yeah, you're right. Like, and the other thing too is it's like once you get past the initial shock of it, it's like anything else. Like I'm sure people forget that there used to be the when you come down the drop, there was like they had the fog wall where there was a projection of Blackbeard and Davy Jones and all that kind of stuff, and it's like I wasn't in the ride initially, and that they just put that there for the movie stuff. Same thing with adding the Jack Sparrow animatronics, which again, they better blend it into the ride because they were put into scenes, but when you really look at it, he does stand out because it's Johnny Depp and then a bunch of like cartoonish characters around him. Like they don't. Well, it doesn't make sense, but everyone's more fine with it than this, right?
It also though reminds me, and Becky brought this up in the Discord, is like you saw so many people making fun of the Walt animatronic on the internet, and then the people that actually went and saw it, they're like, oh, it looked pretty good, like and it's like I think it's so hard to capture things on video when you're and instead of doing it, and I think that is just a big thing,
I think maybe there needs to be more of a conversation with the people who are doing the video capturing than
it's hard though. It's hard to capture these things though. Yeah.
But okay. Let me argue this. All right. If you're being hired by Disney to do, any kind of media production, you should have knowledge of lighting. You should have knowledge of composition. You should have knowledge of like how these things get presented. You should know enough how to review a video and be like, it looks like he's standing weird, or that angle doesn't do it any favors. Like even again, this animatronic is like sticking the camera that it's looking like up his nose, because that's what it is. It's like the angle is like from down below, like I guess kind of where the boat is. But
it's because it's where the boat is. That's what they say in the article.
But it's way closer than it like it's zoomed in. Or closer,
they're taking
whatever.
You behind the scenes though. That's the conceit of the video, right? So I get it.
You're shooting up his nose, and because of that, it's the same. It's the equivalent of like if I'm taking a picture on my camera, do I put it down and look down at my camera? Does that look great? No. Like
Sorry, listen, I get it. I
think they're not doing themselves any favors by the way that they're presenting these things. So
I think what happens is, and this happens all the time. We called this, right? You remember when we first started the podcast 10 years ago at this point?
Almost.
I remember. I remember Happily Ever After was replacing Wishes. And everybody was mad about it. Like the whole internet was mad about it, right? A whole Disney internet was mad about it. And I remember saying very specifically, I can't wait for Happily Ever After to go for a while and for them to take that away, and then everyone's going to be mad about that and want that back and forget that Wishes even existed. And that happened. Like we saw that happen in real time, because what happens is things change. People don't like change, and then you kind of get used to things, or you experience them, and it becomes like the new memory. And now this is the way it's always been in your head, even though it hasn't been always that way. You know what I mean? It's just it's that thing of change that is difficult for everyone. So I'm not even like saying anyone upset about this is wrong. I think I understand, the concern about changing these things, especially with like Disneyland and what, because people hold it a little more sacred than most things, right? As far as like Disney goes. But I don't know. I always look back at Walt Disney said we keep moving forward, and he was very much a futurist and wanted the latest technology and created a lot of that technology, always, like, a lot. And to me, every time they do something like this, that to me is like kind of fulfilling Walt's vision of these things, innovating, doing new things, plussing up the attractions, trying to tell better stories. And listen, so I'm not like disagreeing with anyone here, and I obviously don't have a soft spot for Disneyland, right? Because I didn't like grow up going there.
Yeah,
right?
It's a bit of a different.
It's a different thing. Yeah. So like I get it. I understand. I was just surprised by it because I see these things and I was like, whoa, that's really cool. Like they should do more of that. And actually, they are doing more of that, Trevor, because there's another part to this too. This is kind of just the first of a lot of things. They're saying that this animatronic is a platform for more animatronics that can emote better, can do things like cry and do blush that they can't do now, right? But the other part of this is they're just building a whole lot of new kinds of robots too. And some of those are, really interesting. So they've got the, obviously the new animatronics, but they show in this video that we're looking at, a animatronic manta ray, which is clearly something they would use for something Moana related, but it's a manta ray animatronic in the water that swims around, and they have a fully robotic dolphin that they have built, which is nuts. Right?
Yeah, and like you're right. The thing is that yes, this stuff is going to continue coming.
Yeah,
I think the fair thing though is these things need to not be made in a bubble. I guess the hard part is like you said, looking at the technology, looking at how they're doing the articulation, everything. It's like, this is amazing. This is a good way to plus up these attractions and make things better in the parks. But I don't know. It's such a. Sometimes I feel like that it's the same kind of thing as when you have a joke with your friends where it's like everybody gets the joke, and within your friend group you all you can just say like you refer back to or whatever, and everyone like laughs or gets it, but then somebody who's outside of the group is like either takes it the wrong way or doesn't get the joke or whatever. Disney Imagineering kind of has the same problem if you think about it. Like, I feel like a lot of times these things, like they build them and it's like everybody in the room is convinced that it's like, hey, this is like the greatest thing ever, but it doesn't hit with people the same way because we don't all have the extended context and the extended like history of what it was or where it came from, right? Like, does that make sense? I don't know.
I don't, but I don't feel like I need if I didn't know that they were building animatronic dolphins and manta rays, and I saw, the manta ray from Moana just swimming around in a Disney waterway, I mean, I think I'd be pretty amazed by that. Like, I think that I would look at that and go, wow, that's pretty cool. Like,
if it's done correctly, yeah, fair. You're right. It should be something that without context you just see it and you're like, wow, that was amazing.
I'd feel that way about this animatronic in Pirates too, though. If I didn't know anything about it, I would just be, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. Like I said, I'll be honest. My initial reaction to it was I immediately remembered the stuff from Frozen, and I think that kind of hurt it, unfortunately. And
but I mean, even like this, but you're even down on these manta ray robots and the dolphin thing. I mean,
I'm not hating on the manta ray robots. I'm just saying that it's, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that looks good when they're developing it, and then when it actually gets to in the parks, it just doesn't hit the right way. Like I guess for me, that's kind of the double-edged sword of looking at the behind the scenes stuff, is that I see it and it's like, oh, whatever they were developing, it looks amazing. But then, the one that makes it to the park, there was a technical reason why it couldn't move the way that it does in the preview, and it just ends up looking like a floaty in the water, right?
Yeah.
And again, I'm not trying to like hate on everything. I'm really not. I'm just I've seen the pattern before is I think the problem for me, and I'm skeptical until I'm actually standing there looking at it is probably the best I can give at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of a whole lot of examples of when that has occurred for me, but because
I think too, like, the Galaxy's Edge opening when, there was talk of there being like
the roaming droids,
roaming droids, and there was, the drone X-Wing fighter, which they had at the opening, and it was like, oh my gosh, are they going to do this? It was like, no, that was just for that one thing, and you're never going to see it again.
Yeah.
And it's like,
well, I think Universal also figured out really quickly that was going to be not feasible, because they came out and said they were going to have those dragons flying around all day, and that still hasn't happened. And
so
it's challenging.
So that's my point with that, is that it's like, a lot of things are built in a bubble, in Imagineering, and they don't always scale out to like the parks the way that you think they should.
Well, these things though too that we're talking about right now, a lot of this is like R&D, right? So it's not necessarily things that'll even make it to the park. It's things that they're building because they want to try new things. But one of the things they're saying here with the Moana robot and this dolphin thing, it says, it mentions that the parks, the waterways within the parks are, not really utilized during the day. They just kind of sit there. And so the thought, you can make these synchronized daytime shows that, involve like this manta ray and, this dolphin and some of this other stuff that they're building. And they also mention what was it? It's a floating, food cart. Did you see this? A floating food cart? They didn't show a picture of it, but apparently it's been seen. It's a hovering droids delivering beverages at a food court in a Galaxy's Edge potentially at some point.
Oh, so instead of people bringing your food out, it's kind of like DoorDash drone delivery.
Yeah, but hovering. Like, like they're utilizing magnets and stuff to make them hover and stuff. So I mean, if that comes to fruition, that would be amazing too. So there's a lot of cool stuff coming out. I love all this stuff. I think they're really trying hard to really revolutionize and do some things that are really innovative. So I think this kind of stuff is great. They should be striving to do this. So that's just me though. I mean,
I agree. Like I said, I agree with you. Like I said, the thing for me is where it goes from R&D to how it lands in the parks. That's the part that I feel, or that's the part I get stuck on. Just because, because it's like, there's always, we don't see all the like challenges and everything that they go through to build these things, right? And sometimes it's the way that they want to do it in R&D just doesn't work because, for reason X. And we don't always get to see and hear that. Understandably, you don't get to hear of all the challenges that they face along the way. So, and sorry, I know I sound like I'm being like the pessimistic one, but I feel like I try to temper my own expectations so that I don't go into it feeling like, like even this animatronic, it's like, if it's better than I expected, then it's a plus. But if I go in having a very high level of expectation and I'm disappointed, then
I get it.
Then I don't want that, right? Like,
but I think the best example of the R&D stuff translating to the parks is probably the Spider-Man animatronic that flies over, in Disneyland. I mean,
yes,
it fails sometimes, of course, but
I immediately replayed the video in my head where it fails, where he missed and
well, listen, but listen, we always, if it works 99.9% of the time, everyone pays attention to the 0.1%, right?
That's the problem. Everyone loves seeing the drama and the negative, and
that thing probably shoots off like 20 times a day, and it's failed like a handful of times. But that's the thing that everybody always looks at. It's like, come on.
I'm in the same boat with my job where we do stuff. I actually had a conversation this week where we were doing a deployment. And it was like, hey, we deploy this out to hundreds of users, and they were like, but there was like 3 users that had an issue, and it's like, yeah, but we deployed it to 300 users. Like,
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. But
yeah.
Anyway, I mean, I listen. I think this stuff makes me excited even more for the future of what they're planning. So
I think the thing for me is that I have a trip planned next year to Florida, and I'm not going to Disneyland anytime soon. The interesting thing is there is a ton of stuff that has changed at Disney, and I know that, and I know I've not been in quite some time, and by the time I go back, it's going to be like there's going to be so much new stuff that it's going to feel like a new park,
like a whole new place, which is what they try to do.
Because and again, even me saying earlier, I do have my memories stuck in my head, and I don't try to go by like, but this is the way it was when I was 12, because it's like that doesn't matter. It's it's how it is now. And actually, I'm going to put this one out here because I saw some of the hate about this when Tiana's Bayou Adventure opened up. So some people were like, well, Splash Mountain was better, like the animatronics were better, whatever.
What? That's nonsense.
Yeah. Well, so the thing I will say, the music in Tiana's, I feel, is a vibe. Like it is so much better. The scenes that go with the music, like especially after like the drop with the dip and everything, like way better. And I'm speaking this from the Disney World perspective, by the way. I haven't ridden the Disneyland one, but I assume it will be like similar. But there was a lot of people that at the time, and I know like it's the internet and people love hating on things. There was a lot of hate about it. I thought it was awesome. I think it's awesome, and I now have both versions of the ride living rent free in my head now, which is interesting because it's like you can have both. Right?
Like, I mean, I don't even think you can make a real argument to say that the old animatronics were better. Like, who could make that argument and keep a straight face? Right?
I'm not talking about the animatronics. I'm talking about I'm talking about the whole package of the ride.
No. I started with the animatronics because and that's why I was like, really? Okay, somebody said that?
Fair,
because like those animatronics in the old ride were literally throwaway animatronics. Like they were literally, old and
they were recycled from previous rides and whatnot. But no, it wasn't just the animatronics. There was people that were like, complaining that like, I think one of the Gator animatronics failed early on and stuff like that.
And they break.
but again, that stuff happens. But the general sentiment of the ride was like, I liked the music in Splash Mountain. I liked the way that, the story played out, because it did follow like a particular story. Tiana's does as well. It's just, it doesn't follow the story of the movie.
It's a different.
It's like an extended story. But in and of itself, it's good. Like, anybody who says that it's not, you haven't.
But yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about. Right. It's like people don't like the change. They have the comfortable thing they've been doing for years and years and years, and then you change something, and they're like, it's not the thing I loved for years and years and years, and then eventually it becomes the thing that you do love because it's the new thing that you. But like you also look at it too. My daughter will never know what Splash Mountain is. In her mind, Tiana is the only ride that exists. Right? Like there's never been a ride before that. Right? Like, and that's part of why they do these things, to make them relevant to a new generation. And I understand that. It's just
for my
hard.
Son. For my son, he's not ridden Tiana's yet. So he only has memories of Splash Mountain because it was me and my brother that went last year. It wasn't, my son didn't come with us. So the next time we go, he's going to get to ride it and, see what's changed.
What's changed. Yeah.
But the funny thing for him is that Splash Mountain's going to become a fever dream.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
He'll have memories of it when he was a kid, but but it'll be like was it really that way?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I mean, you don't hear people talking about, World of Motion anymore. You hear people talking about Test Track, right? World of Motion didn't exist as far as people are concerned. Like it's
we will all get over it.
Yeah, you do.
I just think Disney, like, or I guess, me being not able to experience these things firsthand when they first come out, Disney needs to do just a slightly better job of selling it, I guess, is the only thing. That's my only
takeaway
from this is that they didn't sell it as well as they could.
Where I'm going to disagree with you on it is I don't think they were trying to sell it with this, because it was for Tech Radar, which is a tech site. They were talking about the tech behind it. Not you know what I mean? It wasn't I
wasn't looking at the Tech Radar stuff when I first saw it. It was I was looking at like the Disney Parks advertisement of it, which they didn't do a great job of it.
Fair. The video that I shared out from Instagram is from Tech Radar, right? Like they posted it.
Okay.
And
so yeah, I think maybe that's where the disconnect is, because what I saw was it was not Tech Radar. It was Actually, I need to go back and I'll have to go through my history. I'm pretty sure it was a Disney Parks one, because they were like,
they might have just like reshared it or whatever, and that could be it. But I didn't view it as them marketing it. I viewed it as them doing an article about doing a thing about the tech that they were doing.
Yeah, so there was a bunch. Like, I guess it wasn't just covered by Tech Radar. Like, there was a bunch of people recording, commenting, and that's the other thing too, is like people doing like, oh, check out my video of this, and again, it's the same problem of like, you get on the ride, you have your flash on your phone because you're trying to record and you don't have low light settings, which, by the way, most phones do have low light settings. Learn to use them.
Yeah. And you shouldn't be that person to have your flash on.
If you've got your flashlight on and you're recording on the ride, what are you doing?
Like, get off the ride.
Like, I seriously, if anybody does this, I want you to hear my voice in your head saying, "What are you doing?
What are you doing? Yeah.
Like, turn off the light. You have low light settings.
You're the worst.
Like,
don't do that." Yeah. We talked about this way longer than I anticipated.
I know. Come on, we knew that, but we do need to do our ad, and then we do have one more thing to talk about.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. So the sponsor of this episode is DVC Resale Market. DVC Resale Market, a keyholder vacation company, is the leader in the DVC resale industry with 13 former Disney Vacation Club guides and 3 former Disney Vacation Club quality assurance managers. If you're thinking of buying DVC, browse the largest selection of DVC resale listings anywhere, with DVC experts on hand 7 days a week to answer your questions. If you're thinking of selling, turn to the friendly professionals at DVC Resale Market, where over 98% of listings sell within 30 days. In 2025, DVC Resale Market helped over 4,400 families join or add on to their memberships. Go to dvcresalemarket.com/welcome home or call 1-844-DVC-PROS. That's 1-844-382-7767. And when you speak to them, be sure to let them know that Welcome Home sent you. Well, Trevor, it's June, so you know what that means. It's time to talk about Christmas.
Yeah.
Like, listen, I understand why they do
in June.
Things.
Eggnog.
Yeah. Listen, I understand why they do these things, right? Because people plan their vacations pretty far in advance if you're a normal person and not me. So I mean,
I'm planning 11 months out most times. So this is definitely like stuff I would be factoring in my planning.
Yeah, and also because the tickets go on sale pretty early. I mean, tickets go on sale July 9th for Jollywood. We're starting with Jollywood here.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's just 2 weeks away, basically, right? So I mean, that's really soon. And I mean, the first Jollywood Nights is going to be starting November 7th this year.
Mm-hmm. And runs till January 5th.
January 5th. Yep, yeah. January 5th. So resort guests at the Disney Resorts Collection hotels in Swan and Dolphin and Shades of Green have access to tickets July 9th, July 16th, general on sale. I know I feel like Jollywood's been getting kind of better and better since it debuted. I remember that first one was not great and a lot of people were mad about it and didn't like it. But they've made it a lot better since then.
It's found its stride. It's giving that like 1950s glam, kind of Christmas, which I think a lot of people appreciate as an option for your Christmas celebrations.
Absolutely. And they have mentioned here too the characters, and this is just the beginning, by the way. So they're just giving us this information, to start off as a tease, and there's going to be obviously a lot more. But the characters are Phineas and Ferb, Max Goofus Powerline, Chippendale Rescue Rangers, which is awesome that they're doing the Rescue Ranger Chippendale, Stitch, Justice Santa, Baloo and King Louie, the Mandalorian and Grogu, Chewbacca celebrating Life Day, which is a specific Chewbacca.
Yeah, and should be there.
Yes,
Life
absolutely.
Day is important. Yeah,
Life Day, you kind of got to celebrate Life Day. Yeah. Lotso from Toy Story 3, interesting inclusion of a villain.
Interesting poll, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a villain. I mean, okay,
Yeah.
but whatever. Partysaurus Rex.
again, interesting poll, but I appreciate it.
yeah.
I like Partysaurus Rex.
Love the fact that Bing Bong's going to be there. Like,
yeah,
huge fan of Bing Bong, and Bing Bong should be there. Duffy. All right. Got some Duffy going on at Hollywood Studios. All right. Scrooge McDuck, Donald Duck, Daisy Duck, Goofy, Pluto, and of course, Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse. So
I like how they have Max or Powerline Max, but Goofy gets paired up with Pluto.
That is kind of weird.
What's going on there?
That is odd. But as of right now, it seems like I'm sure there's going to be new things. But as of right now, it looks like pretty much similar to last year. So I don't think they've said anything new in here. So I think we can move on to Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And as we get more information, we'll show that out.
Preview. So
this is very, very early preview stuff.
So, but they're selling tickets in a couple weeks here. So I mean, I don't remember them selling tickets this early in the past, but I just could not be remembering correctly. My dates are all over the place. So
I feel that they were, because I remember buying tickets for Very Merry Christmas Party like in the middle of the year.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
Yeah.
So Merry Christmas Party is going to start on the 8th, end on December 22nd. So we got a bunch of dates in there. They will go on sale July 9th for resort guests, July 16th for regular,
non-resort guests. I feel like that's just their general like Christmas stuff is going to go on sale July 9th if you have a reservation. Across the board. Yeah,
exactly. Again, I don't see anything particularly different here. There's going to be, I'm sure there's going to be new things, and obviously exclusive merch, and they're going to put out, different food items like they always do, which we will certainly talk about once those are out. But really not a whole lot of new details here. I mean, they do mention that the couple characters that they've confirmed, which are Anna and Elsa, Jack Skellington as Santa and Sally, and then Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse, of course. But that's really it for right now. I assume there will be a lot more coming for that.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting too. Is towards the bottom of this article they have they mention rides available, and they talk about like the ones that will have the specific holiday theme overlays. So like Space Mountain, Tomorrowland, Speedway, all that. And then they say, in addition, here's just a few of the classic attractions that will be available for guests during the party. They list off about 5 different attractions, and then they say, and more. I wonder if they're doing that way because maybe there's some plans for possibly some maintenance or something going on. And also, factoring in that, like, the area around, former Rivers of America is under construction. I feel like they're very carefully saying, there'll be stuff, but maybe not what you think is going to be there.
I mean, usually they take stuff down for renovations, or refurbishments in like January. I feel like because it's so busy during the holidays, But
I think it's a little different though because of the construction going on.
I get it.
I feel like they're just trying to
they're hedging a little bit.
Yeah. They're covering themselves. That because some people, there's always somebody that will be like, well, I booked this back in July, and you promised that I could ride Tiana's, and it was closed that day. It's like, okay, really? Like,
yeah. We also have the dates for the Epcot International Festival of the Holidays, which is November 27th to December 30th, a very short one. Not as short. I mean, shorter than the Festival of the Arts. It's this one's just a month.
Yeah,
but
I wish it was longer because we do want to go and see it, but it's very late in the year.
I will say that the decor during that time is pretty amazing, and
yes, that's why we want to go.
And the Spaceship Earth gingerbread house, which we saw last year, we saw it somewhere, and it's pretty awesome. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty great. So, and of course, the return of Candlelight Processional and all the stuff you're used to, all those storytellers and all those, living with the land overlay and, all that fun stuff. So obviously we'll have more when that comes closer too. But And then just around the resort, right? So Christmas this year, because as we know, the holidays start at a different time at Disney than anywhere else. And just, listen, when I'm there in August, Halloween will be in full swing. So
I mean, the Christmas stores open 24/7, 365 in
well, not
Magic Kingdom,
but yeah.
I mean, well, it might as well be
365.
24/7. It's always open.
It's always there.
And yeah, I mean, they're always selling Christmas stuff.
Yeah. But so the holidays start for Magic Kingdom on November 13th and through January 6th. So that's when we get all the decor and everything. And there's again, they're not necessarily announcing anything new here, but one of the things, and it's not actually in here, but we should probably talk about, because it was a big point of discussion in the Discord, and so I kind of take that as something that people care about, is whenever there's a lot of discussion in our Discord, is that the gingerbread house at Grand Floridian will not be returning.
Yes.
Ever again.
Very sad. Well, no, I wouldn't say ever again. I mean,
well, we never say never.
Okay.
We never say never, but it's been discontinued.
The previous incarnation of the gingerbread house is not going to happen anymore. And I feel, or I forgot about this, that, they had built that whole bar in the lobby and everything, that, it makes sense now that there's not space for it.
Sure.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Not to say that it'll never come back, but it won't be like how it was in the lobby in the Grand Floridian. No. Now, that's not to say that, Disney's not doing gingerbread house at all, because there is other gingerbread houses that get done at other resorts.
Yeah.
It's just overshadowed by the one at the Grand Floridian.
So, and if you haven't been to it or haven't seen it, it's I don't know, I guess you'd call it a life-size gingerbread house that you can kind of walk into and buy stuff, and it looks
the same size as like when you would go to the mall and they would have like a Santa's workshop building in the center,
but made out of actual gingerbread.
But it was entirely gingerbread, which that was the insane part. Is it was a building made of gingerbread. So.
And listen, I had seen it maybe 2 or 3 times, because we've been during the holidays a fair amount. And it was a pretty cool sight to behold, but it also was a zoo. It was very much it brought a lot of people to the resort, and it got very busy, and I'm not like super upset about this. I didn't, only because I'm not, like, it wasn't the most important thing in the world to me,
Yeah.
I got to see it, and I'm good with that. Like, I don't even think I would have planned to see it again, Yeah.
The thing is, for some people, it was like part of their traditions.
Yes.
And I get that.
I totally get that. Instead, they're going to do a bunch of different smaller displays.
Yeah. Which, and the interesting thing about that is that, it kind of the same as like when they do the Easter displays and whatnot, is that it does open itself up to more creativity, because, the massive gingerbread house, the problem is, there's not a lot of ways you can do load-bearing gingerbread houses.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Like and not to say like the entire thing wasn't, like they did have a structure underneath it and everything, but it's, I feel like, people are like, well, it was a massive display, and it's like, yeah, but because they're spending so much energy on that one display, it does limit their creativity.
Well,
right?
Yeah. And also,
so I'm curious to see what they do in its place. That's always the thing, is it's like, when these things change, I am curious. I don't want to say that, it's always going to be better, but sometimes, you'll get a bunch of things that's like, oh, this didn't hit quite the same way, but then sometimes they'll do something. It's like, hey, this new thing is amazing. And like I said about, my thing with Splash Mountain, it's like, then both versions can live rent free in your head. So,
well, the other thing that the one article I on DVC News mentions, and this feels, legitimate, It says, this may be a disappointing outcome for some. The Grand Floridian had morphed into a magnet for guest complaints due to the crowds attracted to the life-size display. Not only did it mean more folks crowding the resort lobby for a full 2 months of the year, but the monorail system suffered from the burden of moving that many guests both to and from the resort. I actually think that's probably more of the reason than anything, to be totally
interesting.
I could understand why if I was staying at the Grand Floridian and at that time of year and the lobby was just an insane amount of people in there, that would kind of bother me, especially with how much money you paid to stay at the Grand Floridian.
I mean, that is a fair point. That a lot of us, I guess, as DVC members, we take for granted being able to move freely amongst the resorts. Yes. And because we're staying there already. We're paying for DVC accommodations and everything, but to that point is, there's a lot of people that, not to say that people who are staying off site or anywhere else, shouldn't, be able to enjoy these things. But when it becomes a thing to a point where it's like, hey, there's an attraction here and I don't have to pay, because they have like stuff in the parks that are, as equally grandiose as the gingerbread house in the Grand Floridian, like even like in Haunted Mansion in Disneyland every year, they do a gingerbread house for Nightmare Before Christmas and all that. But the difference is you still have to pay to get into that space. And, that controls it somewhat. I see the point of, having a space, which is a resort that people can, freely come and go from. But there's something there that it's like, it's drawing people there, that it's not a reason that they're staying there. They're just coming there to see like, an attraction of sorts. I can see why Disney, is probably looking at that and probably based on their feedback of, guest satisfaction. Cause I know it's been a thing for a while. Guests have been saying like, hey, the resorts are crowded. There's, I'll say this too, is, even my last couple of stays at the Polynesian, like we usually go in relatively like off seasons, but I've noticed just the amount of people in the ceremonial house and whatnot, like, and part of that is because of the tower opening up. Obviously it's more people.
The new restaurant there overall. Too.
Yeah, exactly. But because there was something new, it was drawing more people to the resort, which makes sense. But it also, like you said, you're kind of paying for this resort, going like, hey, I don't want to be at a resort and be in equivalent crowds to being in Magic Kingdom. So I get why Disney would make a decision like that, just based on, what it's become. And the funny thing is that they like, it actually kind of speaks to, they have the ability to really control where people go, if you think about it, because, the gingerbread house drew people to the Grand Floridian. They could do something at one of the other resorts and they could draw people to that resort. So it's kind of an interesting thought exercise, that it's not a matter of like, getting people in and out of the parks, but they do have means of deciding how many people show up at resorts that are, just because of, things that they're doing in the lobbies and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, we should call it there. I think we had a few interesting topics today, and I let me just follow up our previous discussion with Tom and I. We don't always agree on everything. When
Trevor's a hater.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. I mean, yeah, you can say that if you want. I mean,
no,
you're a hater too sometimes. So that's fine.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I know, but that's the point. Is I think it's good that we don't always have to agree on this stuff, but it's also like we're allowed to have our opinions on it.
Listen,
and
I Trevor, to your point, I think the most important thing in any discussion where people disagree is that you respect each other's opinion, regardless of whether you agree with it or not. And that's when you don't respect the other person's opinion. That's when you have negativity and bad feelings between people, and nobody likes listening to that. So,
but I'm glad that we were able to navigate that, because I know like sometimes I'm very cautious about approaching hot topics around Disney
really?
stuff. Because a lot of people, if you spend enough time on social media, there's a lot of people that
love going to social media.
Well, yeah, fair. I mean, there's a lot of people that gravitate towards the negativity of it, right?
Oh yeah,
and
for sure.
And I don't like to be negative. It's not.
You know what though? I don't think you're being negative.
Yeah.
There's a difference between being negative and being and having feedback or just feeling a certain way about something. I don't think you're being negative by saying these things because there weren't even criticisms really. Like you just were.
It was more so just observations. It was just how I saw things being presented. But again, I guess that's the reason I don't like comment on stuff on Facebook a lot. Outside of our group, because it's people misinterpret that as like wanting to start a fight, right? Which is I don't know. I feel like there's room for opinions and creativity and commenting on things, but I'm just glad that we can talk about this stuff, and when we're done, not be like or not feel like we have to like take a stance on it, I guess. Because I will admit some of the points you brought up actually changed my mind about like my initial reactions to the animatronic and all that. So,
yeah. I mean, like I think that's always good in these constructive conversations.
Exactly.
Listen, you could have changed my mind too. I mean, I understand where you're coming from completely. I get it. I never want to discount anyone's view on the nostalgia piece because I understand that piece. Right? It's
a hard thing. It's hard to it's hard to remove somebody's experience because everyone has their own experience and. Just because I see it a certain way doesn't mean that it's wrong for everybody else, right?
Yeah. Listen, one of probably my earliest memory of Disney is the Main Street Electrical Parade, right? Like, I remember that, and that lives in a spot in my head always. Like, I still have a memory of it from when I was super young. So I do have a special kind of connection to it, and it does make me sad that it's, it's retired. It's not around anymore. But I also feel like I believe that not things don't last forever. Nothing does, right?
That's the hard part about this is that we want to believe that this stuff is eternal, and none of it is. For as much as it's been around for a long time, none of what happens at Disney is eternal.
Or just in life, or just in life, right?
Yeah, it's exactly.
And I mean,
but more importantly, at Disney.
Yeah. Well, listen, there are probably a couple things that are going to be eternal at Disney, which I feel like we could do a whole waitlist episode on. I mean, like, Small World's never going away. Like,
but it has evolved. There has been changes.
Yeah. Like, the traffic between Liberty Square and Fantasyland never going to get better. It's just it's going to be terrible forever.
Whenever you do get to ride Small World in Disneyland, you're going to be like, what the heck is going on here? Because it is way different.
Yeah, it is different. So. Yeah. From what I've watched, even though I haven't been to Disneyland, I've watched an insane amount about Disneyland. And I've seen, but again, things are different when you experience them in person. But even just watching videos of Small World at Disneyland is like, I was like, it's a whole different experience, right? And a whole different thing. So anyway. We were going to wrap up, and then we got down.
I just wanted to put that out there, for anybody listening to the show that Tom and I having these discussions. I feel it's a net positive, and I just wanted to put that out there. So,
listen, it's I don't want to say that, but it's not the way things used to be. You and I respect each other, and we respect each other's opinions, and nobody's here to tell each other that your opinion is stupid or wrong. It's just your opinion, and I disagree with it, and you disagree with mine. know, that's okay.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Now we'll actually wrap this up because I know we're not done now.
No, we're done.
We're done. We're done when I say.
I was just trying to argue with you.
No, I know. Well, no, Tom. No, you're not arguing with me, Tom. You can't argue with me, Tom.
Oh yeah.
Wait a minute.
I'm gonna pull the producer card on you.
Yeah. You can mute my mic, I guess.
Yeah,
but I still have to do the wrap up. So
I could just do it myself.
Yeah, that's true. All right, go.
I'll
insert.
For it. I'm just gonna insert a recording of you doing it from a previous episode, and then anyway,
or you'll find like an AI voice to replace me.
I'm already working on AI Trevor. So.
Oh no,
Yeah.
All right.
Just so I can make you have different opinions on things. I'm going to replace that whole
Sweet.
section with, yes, Tom, it's the greatest thing ever. Anyway, continue wrap it up.
Okay, now you're going to break my brain because I do have to try and wrap this up.
Yeah, wrap it up.
All right. So if you have your own thoughts and opinions or anything you want to share about anything we talked about on the show, or you just want to share a trip report or anything else, you can always email us at welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com. We love hearing from you guys. You can also go to our website, welcomehomepodcast.co, and you can contact us through there. And, again, we just love hearing what you guys think about what we're doing on the show and talking about Disney and all that. In that same vein, we are on social media. So you can find us on Facebook as Welcome Home Podcast. You can find us on YouTube as Welcome Home Podcast. You can find us on Instagram as Welcome Home Pics. Make sure on Facebook, you check out our group, Welcome Home Disney Waitlist, where we have lots of people talking about, stuff from Disney and just the show and whatnot. I'm pretty sure, was it Jeff? I think it was Jeff. If it wasn't Jeff, I apologize. But somebody did do a nod out because we were talking about Homestar Runner last week and they mentioned it in the group, and I appreciate that. So yeah, shoot, I should have linked it, or I should have bookmarked it, but anyway, like I said, it's good, good conversation, good positive conversation, even, disagreeing on stuff is okay, as long as we're all respectful, which I feel our group is very respectful of everybody's thoughts and opinions. So, come check us out for that. And if you want to help support the show, you can go to store.welcomehomepodcast.co and check out our different merch there. You can also get to the store from the website too. If you're already on the website, it's just one more click, so you don't even have to type anything. So, hey, you can get to the merch even faster. And if you see anything on the store or if you don't see something on the store that you would like us to add there, just drop us a line and we can, look at adding more stuff to the store. And outside of that, we also have a Patreon. So go to patreon.com/welcomehomepod and check out our different levels of Patreon support, which have exclusive merch. So the stuff that comes from Patreon, the logo is only available to our Patreon supporters. And everyone who supports us through Patreon gets access to the Discord server, which, as we talked about, we have lots of great discussions before and after the show. Sometimes there's little sneak peeks of stuff from the show. Sometimes it's, people doing trip planning. I know there's been some discussion about Alani in the Discord the last week, which is cool. I love that people, bring up stuff that they're, trips they're looking to make and all that. So
also somebody called out and said last week I said that the Lakeshore Lodge pool is going to be the best pool, DVC pool, and they said, well, Alani is the best pool. Okay, but I don't. I'm talking at Disney World, not all over the place. But it's a good call out and fair.
If you're looking at all DVC resorts, yes.
But I view everything in the lens of Disney World only.
Yeah, so remember, Tom has not traveled the world of Disney. Yeah.
That being said, I had a very long list of resorts that I've stayed, of Disney resorts that I've stayed at.
Yes, you've stayed at far more than I have, because I've only stayed at a handful in Disney World and only one actual DVC resort, which I've
only got like 5 I haven't stayed at total. Yeah. So,
but I've stayed at half of the resorts in Disneyland that are DVC resorts. So
that's, I mean, that feels like a misleading statistic, but
it is accurate.
It's accurate, but misleading.
Correct. Because there's only 2. And sorry, we just completely got derailed on the
Discord. Yeah. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah.
We were talking about Patreon and Discord and all that. And last but not least, if you want to leave a review about the show, you can find us on iTunes, leave us a review and let us know what you think about the show. But if you're on any platform where you can, rate the show, leave us 5 stars. It just helps more people find the show. And we would love that. We'd love to have, more people just find and listen to the show. So, leave us a 5-star review because it does help with that.
Does. The other thing that helps too is subscribing to Welcome Home Podcast, so you can be reminded every time we release a new episode. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Spotify, YouTube Music, any podcast app that's out there. You can find us. Just search for our names and you'll find us. A huge thank you to the sponsors of this episode, DVC Resale Market, and I always want to say World of DVC, but it's Keyholder Vacations for sponsoring this episode. World of DVC, which is easier to remember, but Keyholder Vacations. Join us next time for more Disney Parks discussion. Of course, more DVC talk. We hope to see you all real soon.
Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Do a house when we had a chair. How she can cuddle is no man's affair. I look around for all the holes, found her in her sugar bowl.